Hey there, Jillian here from Gulf Coast Canine, and today I want to talk a little bit about Flexi leashes, or what I affectionately call them, zip lines. So you know those things, the ones that you hold in your hand and then your dog can go all the way to the moon and back, and basically just in and out for an indiscriminate distance. So something that I witnessed today while I was at the park working dogs were a really nice elderly couple with two very young bird dogs, spaniel mixes, and they were trying to walk their dogs at the park and enjoy a beautiful day. Unfortunately, this park has a ton of birds and a ton of squirrels. And these birds and squirrels are used to being fed by people that like to walk around the park. One lady in particular, I call her the bird lady, she pulls up a chair, sits there all day long and just throws bread at the birds and peanuts at the squirrels. And to be honest, it's really frustrating. However, it creates a really great distraction when you're training dogs. It teaches, obviously, great engagement in me, and not to be distracted by all of the other things going on around us. However, for the average person that's just there to have a good time with their dog, those birds and squirrels can be a lot, especially because they follow you around and they tend to fly after you or run after you. And for dogs that don't know to ignore those things, it can be a huge challenge. And this poor gentleman in particular kind of rounded the corner, and all of these big white birds just kind of came from nowhere. And I watched him almost eat it. His dog was on a Flexi lead, a good 20 feet out ahead of him, and just trying everything it could to get to those birds. So Flexi lines are a really great tool that us dog trainers like to use in certain circumstances. But this is where I get on my soapbox, and you're gonna have to listen really closely. Flexi lines are not for your average everyday walk with your dog. Stop, don't do it. All you're doing is creating less engagement in you and more engagement with your dog in their environment, and you become meaningless because your dog can do whatever it wants for 20 feet. And now imagine that's 20 feet out ahead of you, and that can also be a quick 20 feet straight behind you. So your dog can be sniffing 20 feet that way, all of a sudden it picks its head up and it sees a bird. It is now a full 20 feet to you and another 20 feet out ahead of you. It now has a 40-foot head start. And the average person can't hold a dog like that. And I'll be honest, those Flexi leashes are not meant for that either. And they tend to fail. And now you're gonna have a loose dog. So please, stop walking your dog on a Flexi line. I watched this poor man get drugged through the park, down the path, basically into a dumpster, believe it or not. It was the most giant shit show I have seen in a really long time. And believe me, I see a lot, but this one was pretty epic. And my heart kind of went out to him because this dog was completely out of control. It had no manners on the leash. It was completely disengaged from him, and it just wanted everything else. And that to me is not a happy dog. That's a dog that's just out of control and doesn't really care who's on the other end of the line. So are there times and places to allow our dogs to sniff and chase birds and chase squirrels? Heck yes, absolutely. But it's not when we're on a leash, and it's not when we're going for a walk. When we're walking, we're working, and I want my dog to be engaged with me. Until I say break, then they're allowed to be free. Or I unclip the leash and I tell them break. Then they're allowed to do whatever they want, obviously within reason, but that's their opportunity then to go and have a great time. but that 100% is not the time to be using a Flexi leash. Using a Flexi leash for walking is not only dangerous for you, for your dog, but also for people around you. I happened to be lucky at the time that I had already had my dog in the car and I was not anywhere near them, because I know for a fact that dog would have seen us and just run right up to us. That Flexi line, the owner had zero control over the dog, and who knows what would have happened. It would have put my dog at risk or in harm's way, because again, I don't allow leash greetings and interactions, especially with unknown dogs. But those Flexi lines are not for that purpose. So save your Flexi line for when you're hanging out in an unfenced area and you just want your dog to sniff and check things out. Train your dog first. Do training. Teach them that being engaged with you and doing things with you and for you is a way better choice than just doing whatever the heck they want to be doing. Engagement first, manners first, leash manners first, before we go ahead and just give our dog all of the freedom. So those Flexi lines, I've seen people sever fingers. I've seen terrible, terrible rope burns because it got wrapped around their leg and their dog pulled, and those are real nasty. I've also seen them snap, and then all of a sudden you have a very loose dog in a very public place. And not only that, but there's no reason that your dog on a walk should be 20 feet plus out ahead of you. It can get wrapped around a tree. They can run up to another dog, and them and the dog can get wrapped up together, and then you have a dog fight on your hands. There's just really no benefits. So use a regular 6-foot leash, teach your dog engagement first, and then after they have engagement and leash manners, then you can break out the Flexi line for when you want to give them more freedom while you're not walking, so that they can enjoy nature and sniffing things and things like that. If my dog knows and understands not to pull on the leash, then when they're on a 20-foot line and they feel that same pressure or sensation of pulling and they stop, that's what I want. So just because my dog is on a 20-foot line and then they feel a little bit of that backwards leash pressure, they know to move into it. They understand that's their boundary. Having different commands. So for me, I give my dogs the heel command. It means a certain thing. And then when I say break or free or all done, that's their cue and signal to just go do dog things and be dogs. Because let's face it, we also have to allow them to do some of that too, but just in a more appropriate situation. So leave those Flexi lines for a wide open field when you just want to give your dog a little room and opportunity to sniff and get their yayas out. Don't use them on a walk. It's super dangerous. Don't be that guy that literally almost went headfirst into a dumpster because his dog chased some birds. It's not a good look, I promise. So hopefully this fun little tip helped. And if you want more information on how to get that engagement, how to work with your dog, go ahead and check out our channel a little further. We have our subscription, and that is going to give you all kinds of valuable and useful training advice, tips, and tricks to get all of the best out of your dog.